most of you know, there is been an ongoing speculation basically since the beginning of the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger case. So, the speculation connecting Bryan Kohberger to online activity under the Reddit username Pappa Rodger. Some internet sleuths believe the account could be based on Tommy Lindquist's style and an unusual interest in Kohberger's arrest. So let's break it down thoroughly, including Kohberger's connection to Elliot Rodger and the broader involuntary celibate subculture. So, the Bryan Kohberger and Elliot Rodger connection, primarily from what I can understand and research, okay? So Bryan Kohberger was a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University at the time of the Idaho unlawing. He previously earned a master's in criminal justice from DeSales University, where his studies and research showed an intense focus on sociology of criminals. I apologize, psychology of criminals. Now, he studied Elliot Rodger, according to many of his classmates. So sources close to his time at DeSales have stated that Kohberger studied mass shooters, including Elliot Rodger, who was the infamous 2014 Packer. Now, Kohberger was allegedly fascinated by their motives, behavior, and rhetoric, basically. So this raises alarms because Rodger is seen as a foundational figure in the Incel extremist community, and Kohberger's Reddit activity, and in survey questions like his DeSales research study asking ex-cons how they chose their victims. This could point toward an obsessive curiosity with criminal pathology. So, was Bryan Kohberger Pappa Rodger's on Reddit? So, the Pappa Rodger's Reddit theory emerged after Kohberger's arrest. So, here's what we know thus far. So, the account Pappa Rodger's, which is Pappa Rodger's, comes from the Reddit platform, specifically the Idaho unaliving subreddit. So, activity posted obsessively about the Idaho unaliving before Kohberger's arrest. This claimed to have deep knowledge of the case. So, one key post in November 30th predicted that police would find a knife sheath, which was true, but not public knowledge until later. So, suspicious clues in regards to this. The tone and the popularity of Pappa Rodger's posts were very analytical, criminology based, and they were mirrored academic criminal profiling, basically. So, the name Pappa Rodger's could be a nod to Elliot Rodger, whom Kohberger allegedly studied. Rodger is referred to as a founding father by some in the Incel and extremist communities. So no official confirmation has linked Kohberger to this Reddit account, but it remains one of the theories in the online sleuth community. So who was Elliot Rodger? Basically, Elliot Rodger committed a mass unaliving. In it was May 23rd, 2014. He unalived 6 people, injuring 14 before taking his own life. He was 22 years old at the time. He was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which now autism spectrum disorder is more correlative and socially isolated. He was extremely egoistic. He wrote a 137-page manifesto, My Twisted World, which detailed his life and hatred for women and sexually active men. And basically his motive, he believed that women were obligated to give him attention. And also he resented active peers. I apologize for the coding, but this is what we have to do for some of the platforms who are more or less censored. So he believed that that women were obligated to give him attention, and performances, active peers. He also saw himself as a superior man who was destined to punish society for rejecting him for, in general, who, becoming a self. that Rodger's ideology became the bedrock for a violent subset of the Incel community. It was glorifying him as a saint. So the Incel subculture, a little bit, Incel basically means involuntary celibate, which was originally coined in the 1990s as a support group. The modern form of the Incel movement has morphed into a misogynistic, I never could pronounce this word great, often extremist online subculture, particularly in forums like Reddit before being banned, 4channel, and private Discord servers. So basically the core beliefs is that women only desire chads, per se, which is attractive, dominant men, and society is unfair to men who are average or unattractive. So misogyny and social resentment are common themes. Some incels endorse or celebrate violence, especially ER, which is Elliot Rodger. His ideology primarily was inspired rhetoric, which celebrated the violence. So why does this matter in the Kohberger case? So the fact that Bryan Kohberger may have studied Elliot Rodger deeply and possibly posted under his name could be inspired by him, which raises disturbing questions. So he did study Elliot Rodger, and Pappa Rodger could be inspired by him, which would make sense because Pappa Rodger, or per se Elliot Rodger, was an individual that was very similar to Bryan Kohberger's characteristics. Now, Elliot Rodger deeply and possibly posted under. So was he fascinated from a criminology perspective, or was he just identifying with Rodger? So did he internalize aspects of incel ideology? Who's to say? Another question that makes people really curious is, could his studies have served as a blueprint rather than an objective analysis? So law enforcement has not publicly linked Kohberger to any ideology yet. However, if Kohberger was Pappa Rodger's, and if his interest in Rodger was more than an academic aspect, that could signal an ideology motive which is buried under the surface of his criminal profiling studies. Now, for some of you who think he's innocent, who have respect for others' opinions and are informed, but for the most part, in an educational aspect, and if you're researching from a criminal profiling sense, this makes more sense. So for those of you who are new to True Crime PhD, if you're interested, you can go to our YouTube, True Crime PhD. You can hit subscribe on the bell and click all so that you get all notifications, and we have podcast, videos, and live streams. We also have playlists under Bryan Kohberger and other individuals, so just check us out.